Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live with me, Portia Gabo. Coming up, colleges of education across the country may be shut down after 22 days of strike by their teachers. And also coming up, government outlines plans for referendum ahead of the creation of new regions. On the foreign front, U.S. Senate advanced measures to withdraw American support for a Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen. We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. And in our very first story, the head pastor of the Agape Restoration Ministry at Community 19 in Tema, Reverend Ebenezer Arthur, and some church leaders and members have allegedly been attacked, while some of the victims sustained machete wounds, while some church property were also destroyed. A report by Sarah Parku.
According to Pastor Ebenezer Arthur, the attack was orchestrated by a former NDC parliamentary aspirant for the Crowell constituency, Daniel Alabi, alias Broman. The news team was led to an uncompleted building where the victims were rescued. Patrick and Simon are workers at the church who were also assaulted.
We were here this morning working. All of a sudden, some bad boys just came in. At first, it was like 2 or 3 of them. They left, we chased them away, and they mobilized again and come back in crew. They were like 30 in numbers. They attacked us, we were stoning, macheting us, to the extent they almost killed our prophet and the assistant pastor.
Detective Lance Corporal at the Community 18 police station, Dennis Abbey, told the news team the police is investigating the case. Wife of the pastor, Dinah Arthur, wants justice for her husband as she narrates the reason behind the attack.
But the whole thing is about the church land. My cousin, who is the one doing everything, got there with some guys and they said they wanted to kill him. They wanted to lynch him.
Does the land belong to your cousin?
No, it belongs to TDC. And TDC has given the church the right of entry. The police must really do something about this case, because I know in Ghana here everything just goes under the carpet. This time around it must go to the extreme, because they really wanted to kill him. That was the motive behind everything. When I got the call, in fact, I couldn't control myself. I was in tears.
The pastor is currently on admission at the Dampo Medical Center on the Spintex Road here in Accra, where he is receiving treatment.
Let's now go to the Western region, where scores of artisans from Tanokrom Kokompe who were evicted to pave way for the construction of the Takrade shopping mall are threatening to disrupt the official opening of the mall scheduled for December 13. The artisans claim compensation due them has not been paid.
The Sekendi Takrade Metropolitan Assembly in February 2014 demolished shops, sheds, warehouses and other structures of over 2,000 artisans at Tanokrom Kokompe following the refusal of the artisans to relocate to a land provided for them by then developer PCOB. The artisans had issues with the land title and the state of the land. According to the artisans, in the ensuing discussion, the developer also prepared a compensation package for them. It has been 5 years and the land has still not been suitably developed. On Tuesday, over 500 artisans took to the streets demanding the development of the land and compensation.
Makoji loan, dream financer. Every day I'm 480,000.
I paid 48 cedis to service a loan I contracted. The artisans are scattered due to the demolition. I don't know what to do.
So the Yabasana Katana, now over the Naso Squatters into Wood. We want the investor to hear us out. We want things done right, or we will continue to demonstrate.
The artisans also alleged that 48 of their members have committed suicide after they were unable to pay back loans contracted for their businesses. They requested the president to intervene. The
Look at the land. Can we work here? 48 of our people are dead. Only last week, one committed suicide.
The artisans have planned a series of protests in the run-up to the official opening of the mall. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Chairman of the Ghana Garages Association, Kwamina Kwadzi, says the Takoradi Shopping Mall Limited has fulfilled all its obligations.
Let's now focus on the labor front on this developing story where the Colleges of Education Teachers Association, CTAG, and the National Labour Commission are currently locked up in a crunch meeting to address issues regarding their strike. The teachers and the Education Ministry have been at loggerheads with the ministry, describing the action by the teachers as unreasonable. CTAG members have been on strike for the last 22 days, insisting they will not return to class owing to stalled negotiations on their book and research allowance. Meanwhile, government is yet to decide whether to close down all the teacher training institutions, as the schools have seen no activity in the last 22 days. And joining me in the studio is Anthony Dazi. He is the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Now, per the laws governing your colleges of education, you're supposed to be closed down. It's been 22 days of strike. What's happening on campus? Have you shut down?
Thank you. And let me take the opportunity to say hi to my colleagues in the various campuses. Per our student handouts, it has not been stated categorically that schools will close down, but it is seen that if someone does not go to class for 21 working days, he is not eligible to sit for examination, and that is what we know. We don't know whether after 21 days schools should close down, and so we're waiting for government or the officials in charge of colleges of education to come out with proclamation, then maybe we'll go by that.
So what is currently happening on campus now? What's the mood of the students?
I think what is happening now is very unbearable on the side of the students. For quite 31 days now, no master have come to class to teach. Those on the out segment, they've been there for 2 good months, and there has not been any supervision or whatsoever. So we just left on campus, and what we do is bath, take in food, and we just walk around. But especially the first years, they've been on campus, they don't know what they are doing. They've not been orientated. They are just there and a whole lot. So actually some of them have gone home without even asking for permission. And others are just there waiting that masters will come and teach.
Our understanding is that the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, you are in support of CTAG. Is that the case?
We are not really in support of any of the parties. It is just that we have seen the situation that we are the suffering side. And so almost all our releases were saying that both parties should come in agreement and then resolve the issue so that we can actually have our teachers back to class.
Okay, you hold on, Anthony. Well, joining me on the phone is Ben Arthur. He is a labor analyst. And good afternoon, Mr. Arthur, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam, and good afternoon to all your viewers.
All right, now the Labour Commission has now intervened to get this impasse resolved. But let's look at the posturing of the Education Ministry. They earlier described the strike action as irresponsible. Do you think the Labour Commission can bring finality to this matter?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Ms. Arthur.
Your line was dropping.
I was saying from the posturing of the Education Ministry, they described the strike by CTAG as irresponsible. And I'm asking whether you think the Labour Commission can bring finality to this matter.
Well, thank you for the question. Yes, Labour Commission has the powers, has the jurisdiction to help the party, negotiate in good faith, and not only that. At one point in time, when they are not agreeing, the Labour Commission actually has power to call for a compulsory arbitration that will be led by a panel of 3 of the commissioners, and whatever award that is issued out, that will be binding on the party. So the Labour Commission has the power to call the party, not just to order, but to give them the platform for them to treat the matter amicably.
Now let's look at the issue of bad faith in negotiations. The Education Ministry says you can't be on strike and make these demands. What do you think can be done? How should CTAG have handled this issue?
Hello, your line is breaking.
I was asking, how do you think CTAG should have handled this issue, looking at the issue of bad faith in negotiations, as the Education Ministry says that you can't be on strike and make demands?
Okay, I now understand your question. Normally, when there is an ongoing negotiation or there's an intervention in the form of arbitration or litigation, any strike that is instituted becomes illegal because the motive for such a law is to make sure that you don't tie the hands of one party at the back. So that constitutes coercion. Once you agree to participate in any negotiation, deviation, or voluntary arbitration or compulsory arbitration, whatever it is, once you agree to participate in such an intervention, you cannot continue to be on strike. What it means is that CTAG ought to call off the strike in order to technically qualify to come on board or to get to government for the 2 parties to sit down. Or once National Labour Commission invites them and there's reasonable cause to believe that there is an intervention being introduced, then you call off the strike. And then once you don't call off the strike, even if the strike had been legal from the very beginning, one could measure a portion of it to be illegal because you need to call it off, come to the negotiating table, and then when you are dissatisfied, because you always have the right to go back and call for strike. So that is the essence of it. Once you are able to do that, then the employer also exercises the power to vote or to take away your pay that you have made on illegal strike. So that's the position of the law.
Thank you very much for your time. And Ben Arthur is a Labour analyst. Well, still in the studio with me is the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Anthony Daze. So what do you think can be done to bring finality to this matter from where you are?
All right, thank you very much. What we, Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, thinks it can be done is that our masters, we are pleading with them to get to or go to negotiation table with the authorities so that issues be resolved and they come back to class. For now, that is what we are looking forward for. That's both parties. I mean, National Council for Tertiary Education, National Labour Commission, Ministry of Education, and CTAG as well. They should all come together, go to negotiation table and resolve this issue. Because at the end of the day, we are suffering most. We students, we are on campus and almost all their actions are affecting us more than any other person. So we're calling them, we are pleading on all parties that they should come together to resolve issues so that we can have our teachers back to class.
Thank you very much for your time. And Anthony Daze is the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. And earlier, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana said it will not engage in any negotiations with government until the November salary of its members are released. Well, the association insists it will no longer tolerate discrimination by government. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Addressing the media in Kumasi after an emergency meeting, President of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana described as falsehood information being peddled by the head of communications at the Ministry of Education on its indefinite strike.
The mandate to pronounce a strike action as legal or illegal in Ghana here rests solely with the National Labour Commission, but not with the NCT nor the Ministry of Education or the PRO of the Ministry of Education.
The association says government continues to treat teachers in colleges of education unfairly. CTAC is demanding payment of market premium as well as book and research allowance comparable to what is given other teachers in public tertiary educational institutions.
Government couldn't have paid our colleague teachers that hold similar qualifications and skills as ours in other comparable tertiary education institutions a market premium in the range of 1,683 and 1,850, and giving us a paltry sum of 127. Admitting us into the fraternity after the passage of Act 847, 2012, presupposes that we qualify for the across-board figure. Any attempt to continuously deny us these packages amount to gross discrimination.
The association has resolved not to engage government in any negotiation until November salaries of its members are released.
By this press conference, we are serving a very strong notice of our resolve not to enter into any meaningful discussion with any stakeholder until the tutors are paid their November salary, which has been unlawfully frozen.
The teachers are on strike over government's failure to give them market premium and book and research allowance.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the member for Bolgatanga East, Dr. Dominic Ayine, says the much talked about National Cathedral will cost the nation $100 million to construct. He urged the Finance Minister to account to Parliament how much it will cost to build the Secretariat and the Cathedral, as mentioned in the budget statement.
The Finance Minister, during the presentation of the 2019 budget to Parliament, mentioned government had secured seed money for the construction of the National Cathedral. But on the floor of Parliament Wednesday, MP for Bolgatanga East, Dr. Dominic Ayine, said a report by the Financial Times of London puts the cost of the National Cathedral at $100 million.
The minister cannot purport on our behalf to make monies available for the construction of the National Cathedral without the approval of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, that will be against the grain of Article 174 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. What in God's name are we doing with 100 million cathedral when we cannot afford to feed the hungry amongst us?
Dr. Dominic Ayine asked the Finance Minister to account to Parliament where government would get the money and how much would be used for constructing the Secretariat and the Cathedral itself.
There has been no request for any estimates to be approved by this House for the construction of the National Cathedral, Mr. Speaker. What is the value of the land to be provided by the state, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, another critical question is, what is the cost of running the Secretariat for the entire duration of the construction of the National Cathedral? That has not been stated neither in the statement of the minister before this House, nor in the budget statement.
But a Deputy Attorney General, Joseph Kwenka, could not be bothered.
The cathedral will be done by the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And we are going to ensure that due process is followed in executing same for posterity to judge.
Taking her turn, MP for Ifija Sechere East, Mavis Nkansa Bwedu, lauded efforts being made to ensure the quick acquisition of passports in the country.
As we speak right now, government is in the process of rolling out an e-visa. And this will reduce the time that Ghanaians have to wait in the passport acquisition processes. And also, we've opened 8 more missions under 2 years, making it 82 missions globally. I believe that this online application services that has been brought to Ghana will reduce the huge sums of monies that are paid to borrow boys.
The debate continues on Thursday.
Let's now go to Parliament House, where the House is currently debating the financial policy of government for the year ending. Earlier, the Energy Minister was in the House. And joining me on the phone line is my colleague Evelyn Tingma. Good afternoon, Evelyn, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Portia.
Now, Evelyn, what did the Energy Minister say in the House?
Portia, today the Energy Minister was in the House to answer an urgent question filed by Emmanuel Amakutibwa. That he is asking a question whether the ministry is aware of any threat to incite some youth to blow up oil facilities in the western region, and if so, what remedial action is being taken by the ministry. So what exactly the Energy Minister said was that looking at the sensitive nature of the issue, his outfit has reported it to the National Security to investigate the matter. And so when the National Security reports back to him, he will then come back to Parliament to give them a feedback on that matter. And he also answered some questions regarding when some communities in the northern region will be connected to the national grid, Portia. But yesterday also, he did mention that you will remember that there were some concerns in the public domain that the country is going back to the Jimso, and he denied that he's never said that the country has returned to Jimso. So he is saying that the minority members are praying that the country will return to Jimso, which they, under the NDC government, took the country 3 years, took the country to Jimso and all that. And so he never said that the country is going back to Jimso, for sure.
I understand there's currently a debate on the financial policy of government for the year ending. What can you tell us about that one?
Yes, exactly, Portia. You will remember that the debate started last week, and today is the last day for the debate. And so the two leaders, the majority leader and the minority leader, are the ones debating today. And the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, just concluded his debate, and the majority leader of HMS is currently on the floor. So basically what Haruna spoke about was the fact that the special Ministry of Special Initiatives, we are saying that that particular ministry, 1.5 million cities has been allocated to that ministry. And he is saying that the minority will not be part when it comes to the approval of the budget for this particular ministry, because he is saying that the Ministry for Special Initiatives is in conflict with the development authorities. He is saying that what the development authorities and the district assemblies are supposed to be doing, that is what this particular ministry is also doing. And so they will not be part of it. He, for instance, mentioned that the 1 million per constituency should be done by the district assemblies and the development authorities. But this is what the ministry is also engaging in. And so when he says that when it comes to the budget approval for this particular ministry, the minority will not be part of it. And he also mentioned that during the debate, some members from the majority side mentioned that social intervention, the NDC government has not provided any social intervention to the country. And so he argues that this is a party, the NDC party, that has halved poverty and then provided health facilities, educational facilities, and all that. And so these are things that have improved the socio-economic development of the people. And so they have done that. And so basically that was his argument. And now the majority leader is on the floor, and he is also saying that the economy has rebounded back after the NDC took it to a mess and all that. And so he's on the floor, Portia.
Thank you very much for your time, and Evelyn Tingma is our parliamentary correspondent. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub, and 95 private and public tour guides have been trained on best practices in the tourism sector. The guides, who were drawn from the Northern, Upper East and Upper West regions, were taken through 2 days of classroom work and a one-day field work. A report by Zubeida Ismail.
The Northern, Upper East and Upper West regions host a chunk of Ghana's tourist sites, including the only vibrant national park, the Midday National Park. These sites witness not less than 5,000 visits annually. The visitors usually depend on tour guides for historical information of each tourism site they visit. This makes the role of tour guides in tourism and hospitality industry essential. It is against this background that the Ghana Tourism Authority, in partnership with the Ghana Association of Tour Guides, have trained both private and public tour guides.
Tourism also has the potential to employ several people. Tourism is also the only sector, or one of the sectors, that is able to trickle into the last person within the community. And if we put more effort there, it can help turn the economy of Ghana around.
A participant shares his experience after the training.
They've taken us through, basic tour guiding, ground handling, all the way to, like leading tours in a coach and also doing city tours by walking. So it was a very nice 3 days tour.
The second phase of the training, which will witness the certification of participants, is expected to kick-start soon.
Coming up on MTN Video Report today, Ahmed Tijani reports on an abandoned vehicle which was provided for by the municipality by the Peace Council at Boku in the Upper East region.
I am currently at the garage of the Boku Municipal Assembly here in Upper East region. This vehicle or minibus we are seeing today with the bold inscription on it, Boku Inter-Ethnic Peace Committee, is the main vehicle which was provided for the municipality by the Security Council, with the main purpose of going around the various districts within the Boku municipality to portray and preach peace. Today, as we speak, this bus parked here has not moved for the past 3 years. Boku Inter-Ethnic Peace Committee and members are very worried about this particular situation. A call on government, on MPs, on philanthropists to see to it that this and many more is provided is yet a question unanswered to them. It is a wake-up call that the committee is really suffering. If you have the heart to know that peace is a virtue and you want to promote peace, come to the aid of the Inter-Ethnic Committee. My name is Ahmed Tijani Marane, a citizen journalist.
Well, thank you very much, Ahmed, for that report. You can also send your video reports via WhatsApp number 055-143-3044. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. We have business news coming up shortly. To stay with us. Coming up in business news this afternoon, recent happenings within Ghana's banking industry appear to have affected not only the staff of financial institutions, but also other activities on the financial calendar. The following news desk report catalogues a number of key events that have been impacted by the crisis.
The banking sector crisis that saw a purchase and assumption agreement for UT and Capital Banks and the collapse and subsequent merger of 5 other indigenous banks has had a negative impact on Ghana's financial industry. Quite apart from job losses and low credibility within the sector, annual events such as the Banking Awards and the Ghana Club 100 have also been adversely affected. The annual Banking Awards, which have featured over the last decade, could not come off this year because of the preoccupation of the banks to recapitalize and meet the deadline. The awards came under heavy criticism as analysts questioned the credibility of the award scheme after a number of local banks were audited for having engaged in bad corporate governance practices, with others suffering huge capital impairment. But organizers have refuted the argument, saying the awards were not only based on financial performance but also on the views of bank customers. TV3 Business Checks also reveal organizers of the annual banking awards are unclear if the number of banks would reduce or not after the deadline for recapitalization is reached, as a few more banks are yet to meet the deadline. They have decided to adopt a wait-and-see attitude until the situation normalizes. The annual Ghana Club 100 Awards, for the first time in many years, saw very low representation by commercial banks. Only 13 out of the 30 banks participated in the award of Ghana's most prestigious companies. For the first time since 2014, no bank made it to the list of top 10 companies in Ghana. 2018 will go down in history as one of the most troubling and trying times for Ghana's financial market.
In other business news, the Registrar General's Department has directed all companies to update their records into e-database system by the end of April 2019 to ensure a cleaner database. Head of the department, Jemima Owari, said any company which fails to adhere to this directive will have its name struck off from the register. A report by Frederick Clarence Williams.
Speaking at the high-level dialogue on good governance in Accra, the Registrar General Jemima Owari insisted that companies that have registered from 1964 to 2011 should update its records into the e-database system to ensure a cleaner database. She said she has given enough time to all the companies to comply to this directive because she will not accept any excuse for failing to adhere to the directive.
All companies are supposed to update their records in my new e-register database by April 2019. If they do not do that, I'm going to come out with all their names in the dailies and I'm going to start striking names of companies off because I want a clean database of companies that are actually doing business in Ghana.
The Registrar General again noted her outfit has instituted punitive regime to deal with companies which fail to file for their annual returns.
Once you have penalties in place and you do not enforce the penalties, then the private sector will have a free day. But it should be clear, transparent rules. There should not be one rule for one person and rule for another person. That would breed corruption. Where you are falling short, we also crack the whip and enforce the sanctions. Then I'm sure that we'll be able to regulate the private sector.
The president of Institute of Directors Ghana, Roxanne Kwesi Dogbega, said corruption will always be on the rise because the country lacks effective supervision, evaluation and monitoring.
If we want to see results as a country, then we must improve on our monitoring and evaluation systems as a country in all the things we do, both at the public and private sector space. If we take that particular angle very strongly, I believe issues about corporate governance will be enhanced better than the way it is now.
And that's it for business news. In other news, work is ongoing on the Achimota-Accra Central and the Achimota and Sowam rail lines. According to Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, the project will be completed before the end of the year. A report by Salom Amenya.
At a news conference in Accra, Kojo Nkrumah disclosed test runs have commenced on the Achimota-Tema section of the line, which is 90% complete.
It's our expectation that once we are done with the test runs and it's fully certified to commence full operation, then we'll open it up for full operation. 10 existing passenger coaches have also undergone refurbishment and will be put on that line once it's completed and certified for work.
The rehabilitation of the existing 56-kilometer narrow gauge line from Kojokrom to Takwa through Insuta is also nearing completion. This will lead to the restoration of passenger rail services from Takwa to Takrady for the first time since 2007.
In 2017, due to the total deterioration of the Western line, a total of about 700 major and minor incidents were recorded on that line, 2017, including derailments. The average incidents, including derailment, since January 2018, when rehabilitation commenced in earnest, are 5 incidents per month, down from an average of about 60 incidents per month in 2017.
the procurement process to develop a new standard gauge line for the Eastern Railway line with a distance of about 340 kilometers is ongoing. Processes for the facilitation of the development of a rail link between the Tema port and Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, is also progressing. Feasibility studies commenced in 2018 to identify and map out the right-of-way for the development of metro and light rail transit systems in Accra and Kumasi.
The vision will be pursued in 2019 to address the negative impacts of congestion in Accra and Kumasi.
The rail location workshops are also being modernized and equipped to become a one-stop workshop to serve the railway, mining, petroleum and agriculture industries in Ghana.
And Cabinet has approved a draft bill towards the election of MMDCEs awaiting constitutional amendments. Local Government and Rural Development Minister Hajia Alima Mahama, who disclosed this at the launch of the 70th Annual New Year School, hopes for a referendum in 2019 to clear the way for the much-touted MMDCE selection.
I think this is a bold decision to have our MMDCs elected. And the government, through the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, is rolling out a program to ensure that our MMDCs are elected on a universal adult suffrage and on a partisan basis. The ministry has developed a roadmap towards this implementation. We are hoping that MMDCs will be elected in 2021. The key obstacle in getting our MMDCs elected is amendment of Article 55(3) of the 1992 Constitution, which is an entrenched clause. An amendment to this article is therefore critical, and as an entrenched clause, we can only amend it through a referendum. We've worked on the process. A draft bill for amendment of this article has been approved by Cabinet. It was sent to the Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament forwarded it to Council of State for its advice. Council of State has given its advice accordingly, and the Attorney General has since gazetted the bill. The Constitution requires that it should be gazetted for 6 months. So we are in the process towards the referendum, alongside the next District Assembly elections, which will be in 2019.
Well, coming up is Sport News with Yao Ofosulabi. Do stay with us. And the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, has cautioned songwriters to be mindful of the kind of lyrics they write for child acts. According to him, songs written for child acts should upgrade their moral standard and not tarnish their image in the public domain.
You're around me all the time, around me all the time. You put the SUG in sugar, I need you in my life.
The Ghanaian entertainment industry is expanding, with child talents gradually making their way to the top. From the DJ Switches, Samuel Owusus, Herman Swades, Tutula Patus, Ya Jacksons, among others, are steadily watering their musical career. Inasmuch as becoming a household name has become a priority in the management of these child acts, the process has generated varied views. Some of these child talents are made to focus on contents that sell. But child rights activist and executive director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, is cautioning songwriters to desist from writing sexually explicit songs for child acts.
Tell a child to sing love songs and the child do not have understanding of what love is, then you are putting the lives of the child into certain conditions which suggest to me that you are imposing things on the child to do. Because one of the things that the children that promote is that children should have opinion on matters that concerns them.
So, what should management of child acts do to protect their rights in as much as they want to make money?
Because if you don't manage the fame of the child well,
and that fame put the child in a position where the child will be vulnerable to society, then it also means that you have violated the right of the child.
Talented case judge Benedict Yate could not help but agree.
So if you want to book a program for them, you must be mindful of the nature of the program. Will the child's image fit into the program? If it's an adult-oriented program and you put a child there, then you are creating a damage to that child.
In other entertainment news, British-born Ghanaian media personality Peace Hyde was over the weekend adjudged the Exquisite Lady of the Year in Journalism and Media at the 10th edition of the Exquisite Lady of the Year Award. She beat strong competition from CNN's Stephanie Busari, BBC's Didi Akinyelure, and some of Nigeria's top media names. Held in Lagos, Nigeria, the award celebrates women of excellence who have blazed the trail in their various domains and impacted the Nigerian and African society. The social activist and media entrepreneur has, through her Aim Higher Africa project, impacted the lives of many Africans by improving education via ICT. The outspoken changemaker was the only Ghanaian to have received the award. Well, congratulations to her. And that's it for Midday Live. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Good afternoon.